This month, the federal government pledged $14.9 billion over 8 years in permanent transit funding. With us now for what the vision is and how much of that Ontario can expect to see, in the nation's capital, Catherine McKenna, Minister of Infrastructure and Communities, and the Liberal Member of Parliament for Ottawa Centre. Welcome. Hi.
Hi, it's great to be with you virtually.
Virtually, yes. Thanks so much for joining us. So, a huge announcement. And before we begin our conversation, I just wanted to go over some of the numbers. So, Sheldon, if you could please bring up the board. So, last week, the Liberal government announced their plan to spend $14.9 billion over the next 8 years on public transportation projects across the country. That includes an immediate $5.9 billion to be spent on a project by project basis, and the creation of a permanent public transit fund of $3 billion per year beginning in 2026-2027. Minister, you've made almost $6 billion available now. How will that money be allocated?
Well, so we're building on what's already working. So we've been making investments in public transit across the country, which is making a really big difference. Whether it's electric buses in Toronto or Brampton or in Guelph, there are major projects that are being looked at, in particular in Toronto, Hamilton LRT. It's really look. We talk about building back better. And as we invest in restarting our economy, because we're in a health crisis, but also an economic crisis, we need to really think about where do we want to be in the future. And I think for a lot of people, climate change is a really important issue, but so is congestion. People are often, stuck in traffic, and so we need better public transit. And that is also good for taking action on climate change because a lot of emissions come from the transportation sector. So I think this is a huge opportunity. And it's something that's very tangible in people's lives. It's getting home from work faster, home from school. We all know essential workers rely on public transit often to get to work. So a really important part of the vision for the future of the country. And as you spend dollars, I've always said, I'm a mom. You need to get multiple benefits of every taxpayer dollar we spend. So this is an example of jobs and growing our economy at a time when we really need that. It's also about climate change and reducing our emissions and cleaner air. And then it's about more inclusive communities, because if you think about who relies on public transit, it is often people who have no other options. But of course, it's moms, it's seniors, it's families, it's young people. So it's an investment in our future as well.
Well, how are you going to decide who gets what? What project gets the money?
Well, so we are lucky in the sense that there are some provinces that have been really ambitious in terms of what they're looking for in terms of public transit. Ontario is one of those provinces, British Columbia, Quebec. And so there are some projects there that we think are good projects. Of course, we need to see details of projects. We do need to be, mindful of the investments and getting the outcomes. But I think there's some really good opportunities that we can move forward on relatively quickly, which I think is really important. As I say, we're in an economic crisis. We need jobs. And then there are projects, that looking forward to the future. So I know cities have certainly told me, please, can you give us some certainty on what you're going to be investing in transit? And that's why in the long run, permanent public transit funding is so important. These are major projects often. Procurements take a while. When you buy an electric bus or, you build a new LRT, you really do need to look out into the future. So it means investments that we're already doing. It means new investments, in particular, that are opportunities right now. And then it's in the long-term investments in the future. But there are projects there that I know in Ontario, the Ontario government has talked about a number of projects, Hamilton LRT. And as I say, there are projects like that in Vancouver, in Quebec as well.
We'll talk more about those projects. And you mentioned that this funding is permanent. The needs of Toronto's transit system are endless. The TTC says that it needs $23.2 billion worth of work just to keep the system in a state of good repair, and not to mention the costs associated with building new lines. And as you mentioned, we are in a pandemic. A lot of people are working from home, so transit ridership is low. What about considering maybe operational funding?
So that's a really good point. We all know that because of the pandemic, I mean, many people are working from home, and so there's been a lot less people using public transit. Although it's been really important to keep it operating because essential workers, restarting the economy, people need to get to their jobs, kids to school, and so we have supported operating costs. That's unusual. We did that through the Safe Restart Agreement.
Isn't that funding running out though in a few months?
Well, we have said that that was a start, and I think that with the pandemic, it's that it is ongoing, and we will come to the end of it. But you're right; we have committed to working with the municipalities, with the provinces, to make sure that we support them through the pandemic. And I know this is an ongoing conversation with cities to understand how do we support operating costs, and I think that's a really important piece. I do know some people say, well, why would you invest in permanent public transit for the future? Isn't it going to look different? We will always need good public transit. And certainly when we talk about climate change and the future we want, we need cities and towns across the country to have good, accessible, affordable, clean transit for their citizens. So we need to do both. Help get cities through the pandemic, help them with operating costs so they can keep on running their systems safely, and then also work with them to build for the future.
You mentioned towns, and you've mentioned the Hamilton LRT, and I know that's your hometown. Caroline Mulroney, Ontario's Minister of Transportation, has added Hamilton's LRT project back to its priority list for transit. It joins the Ontario Line subway, Scarborough subway extension, Eglinton Crosstown West extension, and Yonge North subway extension. All of these projects are in urban areas, and this is not a criticism of the Ontario government. But what do you say to critics who say this funding announcement pays too much attention to urban areas and not enough attention to rural areas?
So I do want to be really clear that we need public transit across the board. And so we've announced that we will also be supporting rural transit. And those aren't big projects. They can be very big projects for those towns, but those have to be tailored to the rural areas. So we will stay tuned. We will be talking and making announcements about rural transit, and we're funding rural transit right now. And it's interesting because it is critically important. Often, there aren't other opportunities to get around. If you don't have a car and you live in a rural area, public transit is critically important. And there's even a new way of thinking about it. So some of the investments that we've been doing have supported new technology. So apps where, a town can use on-demand service. So that's great because it means if, you may not have a huge ridership, but you definitely need to be supporting your residents so they can book when they want the bus to come by. And so that's just smarter using technology in a smarter way. But I think we do need to not forget rural areas and how critically important for members of those areas to get around. Sometimes it's the only way you can get around. You might have to go further distances. And I think also thinking about intertown transit, it's not just within the town, it can be within a wider area. So that is incredibly important. While you do get a lot of attention on the major projects, that's a top priority of ours as well.
Building transit infrastructure is expensive. And the $3 billion per year, some people might consider that a drop in the bucket. Will this be enough to help projects off the ground?
Well, so I guess I should say as I said, we're building on what's working. So we have $26 billion. It's a plan that goes out till 2027 to invest in public transit. And we've been making investments, but there is more ambition. So these are really, as I say, these are for new projects where we have allocated money to provinces, but they want to do more. And I think that's great. Of course, we need to see details. So with the Ontario government, we've really encouraged them to bring forward the details about these projects because, of course, we need to be mindful of taxpayer dollars. But this is really to increase the ambition that we're already investing in public transit, but we think we can do more. And in terms of the amounts, these are very long-term projects. So you're not spending on an LRT project or a new subway line. You don't spend all the money in the first year, of course. take a long time. You've got to plan and you start building. Construction takes a number of years. So these are long timelines. And so, the money that we have isn't for one project at once, it's for a number of projects at the same time for a number of years.
Well, the $3 billion is supposed to be kicking in 2026, 27. What if you're not in government then? Why not include that $3 billion now while you're in government?
Well, as I say, we're already investing in public transit. And so we're already moving forward on a whole range of projects. This is money that when we talk to cities, when we try to understand what are the opportunities, as I say, this is about building back better, but also building back smarter. We hear about new projects. And so we have money right now, but we need money going forward to meet this ambition. And in transit, I'll just say this. I know it may sound funny coming from a politician, but one of the worst things that can happen in public transit is every project is just a political opportunity. Cities, when I talk to them, we need to plan out 5, 10, 20, 30 years, and that's why it's so important that they know there's a commitment by not just our government but for any government to invest in public transit. I would certainly hope that all future governments would value public transit and that they would be committed to permanent public transit, because also it's about Canadian jobs, the manufacturing of many of, so take electric buses. The leading companies are Canadian, Lion Electric and Nova Bus in Quebec. We have New Flyer in Winnipeg, Manitoba, and we have Ballard Fuel Cell buses in BC. So there's a jobs play. There's also the opportunity to be smart about procurement and not wasting money, as you can have a longer lead time and you can purchase in bulk. So I think it's just about being smarter about transit. And ultimately, when I talk to people, they want better public transit because it improves their quality of life. If you can save an hour, half an hour each direction getting to and from your house, think about how you can spend that time.
Oh yeah, I
You
used to
hang out
spend
more time to hang out with your kids.
I used to spend 3 hours in transit every day. But when your government first came to power in 2015, you did so with a plan to tackle what you called Canada's infrastructure deficit. How far have you come in 5 years?
Well, we have a historic plan in terms of the quantum of investments we're making in infrastructure, and it's across the board. It's my department is making huge investments in infrastructure, and that's everything from public transit to wastewater to renewable energy to rural broadband, incredibly important to folks, to roads and bridges. So we've been making these investments. We're continuing to make these investments. Just this year, when I came in, my top priority was one of my top priorities was to make sure that we could move forward on projects as quickly as possible. So we have already approved 1,300 projects since the pandemic started. And you're seeing the construction across the country and certainly in Ontario. You go to cities and towns across Ontario. These are good jobs, good projects that are making a real difference in people's lives. And we're going to continue doing that because we need to invest in infrastructure. In kind of in economic terms, it's the largest driver of growth. We've committed to 1 million jobs. It's obviously a critical component of that, often very good union jobs, but a whole range of jobs. And then it's the other benefits. It's about tackling climate change. When we invest in electric buses or renewable energy or better wastewater, all of these things are incredibly important to the future we want, and of course, inclusive communities. One thing I've been extremely focused on is how do we make sure that there's fair distribution of new investments of projects across the country. It can't just be in wealthier areas that you get nice projects, that it needs to be in areas where there are marginalized communities. They deserve good community centers. They deserve good public transit. And often you've seen that they have been left behind. And I think that's really important to me. And so an inclusivity lens is also something we take to it. It can mean rural as well. Sometimes, as you say, there's a lot of focus on urban areas. But getting triple benefits from every dollar, getting projects built at a time where we need good jobs and we need growth is totally my focus right now.
Well, that's a good segue to my next question because another promise that your government made was to provide infrastructure to remote Indigenous communities. The Canadian Council for Public Private Partnerships estimates the government still needs to invest another $30 billion to close the infrastructure gap in First Nations communities. What do you say to those communities, many in Northern Ontario, who do not have access to clean water, sewage treatment, or adequate power?
Look, that we are committed to making those investments. We have my colleague Mark Miller, who's extraordinarily focused on how do we tackle, for example, clean drinking water, and we've made a lot of progress. Is there still more work to do? Absolutely. In my portfolio, I have told my department that we will have, on a distinctions basis, a percentage of money set aside for every different program we have for Indigenous peoples. That's First Nations, Métis, Inuit peoples, so that through my program, we are very focused on making sure that we're supporting good infrastructure. We have a Canada Infrastructure Bank. I just released a letter that sets out the priorities for the bank. So it tells the bank that in addition to priorities like public transit, like clean power, $1 billion needs to be invested in partnership with Indigenous peoples. There are huge opportunities to partner. And Indigenous peoples are very savvy, and they also deserve better infrastructure. A great project that that the Canada Infrastructure Bank just announced was a partnership with a company called Enerstor and a First Nations community to create the largest battery storage facility, I think, in North America. Just a great example of a project that can be transformational, and it's also going to provide dividends to the Indigenous community in terms of economic benefits and jobs and good infrastructure.
Well, the opposition is saying that there is no money to spend on these projects. Is this the time to be spending on infrastructure when some would say that we have bigger problems to deal with?
Well, if people want growth, so I'm assuming that the opposition thinks that they want growth and jobs, that's what infrastructure is. When you build things, you create growth, you create jobs, and you also move to the cleaner future. That's our focus, and you build more inclusive communities. So I would hope that everyone would agree that making investments in infrastructure is important, but more than ever. We are in an economic crisis, the greatest economic crisis since the Great Recession, the Great Depression, and we need to build our way out of it quite literally. And we need to be smart, though. And I'm someone who really believes that with taxpayer dollars, you don't build gazebos, you go and build things that are going to have multiple benefits. They're going to create jobs, they're going to create growth, they're going to help tackle climate change, and they're going to build more inclusive communities and support everyone's opportunity to succeed. And that's what infrastructure is. It's infrastructure is kind of a kind of made up bureaucratic word, but it's about building things that matter. And I think this is the time more than ever. You don't have to take it from me. The International Monetary Fund has said this. If you look at the Biden administration, their ambition on investments in infrastructure for the same reasons,
If,
for
if
jobs and growth, for climate action, and for inclusive communities.
If it's about growth and building the economy, I think something that's top of mind for everybody is vaccines and dealing with this health crisis. So why not spend on building our own capacity to maybe manufacture vaccines?
So we are doing that, and I really need to give a shout out to my colleague Anita Anand. She is, our Minister of Procurement, and she has been working across the board to procure the vaccines. As well as all the essential supplies we need. But we also are working on developing our capacity. That takes time. And I think it just goes to the point of how important infrastructure investments are and how important it is to really figure out what you need for the future, because you can't just build things in a day. You need planning. And that is something that we're working very hard on so that we have the ability to produce our own vaccines. Of course, right now, the biggest thing on everyone's mind is making sure that we can get vaccines into the arms of Canadians right now, and that's what we're doing. But of course, looking to the future, and I think more broadly, the pandemic has raised. I think it's shown where we need to do more work as a country.
Where
And
is
I
that?
think that that is affordable housing. We need more and better housing. Our government is committed to investing in housing. We've made major investments. We're also investing in modular housing and allowing cities and towns to buy hotels and to deal with the immediate housing crisis. But that is the weakness. We know childcare. That there we've lost a lot of childcare spots. We need better and more childcare. That's an economic issue as much as anything else. It's an equity issue, but it's also an economic issue. You know, women being able to work. We don't want them dropping out of the workforce. You know, I think long-term care, another area where we really need to be thinking hard about how are we supporting our, you know, seniors who've contributed so much to society. And so I think these are lessons. I'm embarking on a national infrastructure assessment. And that you might say, well, why haven't we done that before? I mean, we've had a plan, a 10-year plan of investments in infrastructure, but now we need to look out to the future. We need to look out to like 2050. We've said we're going to be net zero by 2050. We need to tackle climate change. Equity and inclusivity is important. So we need to think really hard about what infrastructure do we need and how are we going to get there? And you know, how is every level of government going to contribute, but also the private sector has a role to play. Our pension funds have a role to play. And so I'm really excited. You know, I'm coming from a different portfolio before as Minister of Environment and Climate Change, but I think I take the same passion that I have to actually get real things done in people's lives. And of course, to really think hard about a cleaner future. We need to tackle climate change. We're going to get out of the economic crisis, the health crisis, but then we still have the climate crisis. And that is something, if we use the same ingenuity, if we use the same, we listen to science and scientists, if we innovate, if we work with the private sector, I know we can tackle climate change too. And certainly infrastructure has a really important role to play.
Well, Mr. McKenna, that's all the time we have for now. Thank you so much for your insights. We really do appreciate you making time for us this evening. Thank you.
It's great. Well, thanks very much. I appreciate being on your show.
The Agenda with Steve Paikin is brought to you by the Chartered Professional Accountants of Ontario. CPA Ontario is a regulator, an educator, a thought leader, and an advocate. We protect the public. We advance our profession. We guide our CPAs. We are CPA Ontario. And by viewers like you. Thank you.